Hello, Deepti.
Hello.
Could you listen to me? Could you
Yes,
hear
I
me?
can hear you.
I'm Godson. I'm Godson, Assistant Professor at English Department.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much.
How are you?
Very good. I'm
Hello.
very good. I cannot see you, so it's very
Okay.
weird. Only I am visible, but nobody else is visible.
Oh, okay. My video is on here, but
Okay. Let me see.
okay. We have 74 participants now. Shall we start this webinar
Yeah,
with a
sure.
welcome
Okay.
address?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So Janani
Okay.
Rajkumari from our college will welcome you. Welcome the gathering here.
Okay.
Janani, over to you.
Yes, ma'am. A warm welcome to all who are present here to participate in this international webinar titled Building a Peaceful Society During and Beyond COVID-19 Engineers in Action. With a great pleasure, I welcome our guest, Ms. Deepti Singh. Let me give a brief introduction about her. After completing her BTech in Computer Science from Vidya College of Engineering, affiliated to APJ Abdul Kalam University, Uttar Pradesh, she completed her master's degree in International Peace Studies from Soka University, Japan. She has worked in United Health Group as a software tester for 5 years and also played an indispensable role in corporate social responsibility activities, working along with several NGOs to impact education and character to less privileged kids in Gurugram, Haryana. Her master's degree research was on global citizenship education as an educational priority to achieve the sustainable developmental goals. She was trained to be a climate reality leader and made a significant contribution to Climate Reality Projects Tokyo, which was run by the former Vice President of United States Albert Gore. Since August 2019, she has been working as a Global Schools Program Advocate in Japan, which is an initiative of UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network of Youth. Recently, she has started working with an NGO, the Global Summit 2020, as a program coordinator. As a strong advocate of sustainable development, she has presented numerous research papers in various international conferences. She recently participated in online panel discussion on education in the time of corona, organized by Global Citizenship Foundation India in May 14, 2020, which made waves across the education sector in India. It is wonderful to have you with us in this webinar, ma'am. Once again, we welcome you and hand over this session to you.
Thank you so much. I
Thank
feel
you.
that you have already introduced me and I don't need to introduce myself. So thank you so much, everyone. And your friend has already given my introduction, but I'm just like you all, came from an engineering background, and it's a great pleasure and a great opportunity that your university has given to me. It's my first time that I'm going to interact with more than uh, 130 students from any university, like on a webinar. It's little weird because I cannot see each one of you, but I hope today in this 1 hour we'll really create a good bond of friendship with each other, learn something new, and together do something for society. So, a very good morning to everyone. I am Deepti Singh, and I heartily welcome each one of you for the first ever webinar on building a peaceful society during and beyond COVID-19, Engineers in Action. I extend my heartfelt thanks to Ramco University and the Elite English Leaders Club for giving me this opportunity to share my journey and wisdom on peace and sustainability with all of you today. So, I have a surprise for you all. We have a special guest joining us from Japan, Miss Takako Sato. She visited your university in 2018 and inaugurated a Eco Club, and many of you might know her. So today she has also joined the call with us from Japan, and she'll be today attending the webinar with all of you. So thank you so much, Takako, for joining the call. So before conducting today's seminar, we conducted a survey at your university. I basically wanted to conduct a survey to understand few things, that what are your interest areas, and these are the 5 things that are which came forward, and I'm going to cover these 5 things today in my webinar. that how did I end up becoming a peace scholar from an engineer background, how to be unique and compete in the world of 4.0 industrial revolution. So one of your friend shared that in this time when there is so much happening, there is so much of competition, and so many jobs are taken over by the robots, then how can we be unique and how can we compete in this world? I really like this question. So I thought to touch upon this thing in a little bit. And the third thing, I'll be talking about the causes and implications of COVID-19 on our society and our lives. And how can we work for sustainable development goals? So many of you might not know what are sustainable development goals. So I'll be sharing a little bit background about it and will include few activities so that you can also become a SDG advocate in your state Tamil Nadu or in your universities. And finally, when we'll go through all these four, we will be able to understand that as engineers, how can we create a harmonious society? Okay, so are you all ready to begin? I need to hear your voices. Otherwise, I'll feel very nervous. I want you all to respond me in the middle whenever I'll ask you. So I cannot see your chat windows. So maybe any of you can just unmute yourself and give me a heads up. Are you all ready to start this journey with me?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. We
Okay.
are ready to join you.
Okay. So to begin, I want each one of you to take a moment and think of one question. This one. Who is my role model and why? So I asked each one of you to carry your pen and paper. So please take out your pen and paper and write down. So today we are going to do a lot of writing stuff also. And by the end of 1 hour, you will have something very concrete on three aspects. One is you'll know yourself better, you'll know the world little better, and you will know how to build a peaceful society. So to do all these three things, I want you all to answer this first question and write it down on your paper. That who is your role model and why? I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Maybe you can think of it and just ponder on this question. It may be your parents or grandparents or anyone in your life who motivates you. And it's very important to have some positive role models in your life because they influence our actions and they motivate us to strive to uncover our true potential. And we can overcome our weaknesses also when we have such role models in our life. I have such role models. So I'll just wait for few more seconds so that each one of you can think who is your role model and why? Why do you admire this person? Why do you like this person? Okay, so now I'm going to start and share from my personal life. So your friend has already shared my academic background, but today I'm going to share that personal journey of my life, which I've not shared with many people, but I'm going to share with you all to help you understand that how from an engineer, who were the people who were there in my life, and from this field of engineering, how my journey and how I started to work for peace. So the first person who actually changed the course of my life was my grandfather. So he was a freedom fighter. He fought for India's independence in 1945. I spent my early childhood days hearing the stories of how and his friends fought for making India free from the British rule. So he was a very kind and a learned man. And my heart to serve the less privileged, it was kindled by my grandfather. I owe so much of gratitude to all our ancestors who have really fought. And because of them, today we are living in a free world. So I feel that my grandfather was also one of them. And there are three things that I learned from my grandfather. So, why I asked you to write why? Who is your role model and why? So, my grandfather is my role model because I learned three very important things which are till now in my life. First, to be kind to others. Second, to educate yourself. Like, I must study very hard. Third, use your education to serve society. So if I'm studying, if I've got a privilege to study, so my grandfather, he got a privilege to study. So he used to study on the roads, in the street lights at night. So that was how his study was, because he came from a village. So he always respected education, and he always wanted me to study very hard so that I can serve the less privileged. So soon after completing my schooling in 2008, I joined engineering university, as your friend mentioned, in Meerut, Uttar Pradesh. So despite of financial challenges in my life and my family, I studied very hard, engaged in extracurricular activities. So the left picture is my anchoring picture, where I used to do anchoring in my college festivals. And I made great bonds of friendship at my university. And I often used to visit old age homes and orphanages to celebrate my birthdays. So I always remember this thing that whatever I'm doing, I have to serve society in some way. So this is the picture of one of the orphanage where small kids stay, and me and my friends used to often go to this place to celebrate my birthday or anybody's birthdays. So due to these social activities that I did at my college in Meerut, which is a very small city in Uttar Pradesh, I was being awarded by the Civil Society of Meerut and got published in a local newspaper also. So though I was an above average student, but my college, like, I never topped my college, but my college at my farewell, they gave me the best performer of the batch award at my graduation due to my efforts in social and extracurricular activities. So later, the second person at the age of 20, and when I joined the second year of my engineering, I learned about this man. His name is Dr. Daisaku Ikeda. He is a peace builder, Buddhist philosopher, educator, author, and a poet. And he's also the founder of Soka University, Japan, where I just completed my master's from. So I was never sure what I wanted to do after my engineering. And I slowly started to, in the time of engineering, I slowly started to compare myself with others. And instead of focusing on my dreams, my family and everyone, they really pushed me in a phase of competition. And I think each one of us, especially when we come from India, we feel that we are being put to compete with your friends or your family members. And this person really made me learn two very important things in my life. So the first thing was that each one of us has a unique mission to fulfill. So when I read him, I really felt that there is something only I can do. There's something not my friend or any other person. They have the unique mission to fulfill. And the second thing, which, because I used to feel less confident because of not securing good marks at university, I was involved in a lot of curricular activities, extracurricular activities and social, but I never graded like in a way, like I never topped my college. So the second thing that I learned from my mentor was that each single individual has a power to change the world. And at that time when I read it, I felt, really, can I, a very small person living in Meerut, doing an engineering, can change the big world? But I think I really believed in him. And that's how my journey started to the next phase of my life. So despite of all these hardships that I was facing, financial challenges at family, constantly being compared, and friends and everyone, and after university, all of my friends got placed in good companies and I was jobless. For 1 year, I was not at all working after graduating in 2012. I got rejected from 26 companies, and finally, after 1 year, I got placed in United Health Group. It's a healthcare company, world's leading healthcare company. I was happy that I got placed in United Health Group, but I was even happier to know that UHG had a separate department which works for which is a corporate social responsibility department. So every IT company generally has this department where the company serves the less privileged people or serve the society. I was very excited because this was something I wanted to do along with my engineering skills. So I passionately worked for 5 years as a software engineer and as a CSR manager and supported many NGOs working for child education, health, and employment. And this time, in these 5 years, there was one thing that happened in my life that forced me and pushed me to opt this career of peace studies and education. And it was this. So basically, this picture is from one of the window of my office. So my office was in a like a very nice and a clean place, but just behind that there was a slum. And when I got my seat at the very near the window, every day I used to see this and the pictures like this. And seeing these kids picking up the rag, like they used to pick up the garbage, and obviously they were not at all going to schools, but seeing their life being at risk, being exposed to so many health issues and problems, I really felt that what am I doing to my life? Like obviously I studied, I'm sitting in an AC room in a multinational company, but what about these kids? How can I do something for these people? So from there, I really realized my passion to work in the field of education and peace. From here, seeing these pictures and seeing these every day, these I just couldn't ignore. I just couldn't ignore these people. So these words of my mentor, Dr. Daisaku Ikeda, they helped me to always give my best in the present moment. So obviously, it was not a sudden decision that I took, because it was difficult that from an engineering background, how one can go. I never had a very sound background. I was just working with the NGOs. And I always used to think, how will I work for these kids? What will I do? How can I bring happiness? And how can I make their life secure? And how can I impart education, give them good health facilities? So these words really are very close to my heart, which I'm sharing with you all. And maybe you might also feel at times that what are you doing? You might not like what the course that you're doing in engineering. But my mentor said that the most important thing is first become an indispensable person wherever you are. So I personally try to become an indispensable. Be it at my university, I try to always study hard, though I never got good marks. I got above average marks, but I was not the topper. But I tried my best. And then at the office, when I reached the IT sector, I tried my best. I knew that I wanted to do something else, but I still gave my best at the place of work, uh, 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 cleared these examinations. If you know about the Java certification examination, and I'll list QB examination for testing. So I did all that. And these lines, that instead of moaning over the fact that the job is different from what you'd be doing, he said, become a first class individual at that job. This will open the path leading to the next phase in your life. So during which you should also continue doing your best. So such continuous efforts will absolutely land you in a job that you like. So these were the words that really encouraged me. And finally, in 2018, I got admitted to Soka University, Japan, for the course International Peace Studies with 100% scholarship. So in these 3 years, I got rejected once. I applied for like these universities again, but I wasn't able to do that. It took me 3 years to basically understand, apply, get my finances sorted, and apply and got through Soka University. And I just want to say that one must never give up on one's dream. So if you yourself will give up, then who else will fulfill it? So in between these 3 years, I also got married, and I was thinking that how will I be able to fulfill my dream of doing my master's? But because my determination to study was very strong, my husband really supported me to come to Soka University, and he was back in India. So just give a little bit glimpse that in the last 2 years, so this is my class of International Peace Studies at Soka. We are 13 students from 9 countries. We just graduated. So in the last 2 years, I participated in international conferences on peace and education in Hiroshima and Visakhapatnam last year in December. Celebrate many birthdays together with friends, made friends from around the world, participated in social activities like climate strikes and climate leadership training, climbed the tallest mountain, highest mountain of Japan, that's Mount Fuji, to test my limits, and completed my master thesis on sustainable development goals and global citizenship. And finally, I graduated in the pandemic in March 2020. So this was again a big thing, that graduating in a pandemic was a big thing. So that's a little bit glimpse from my side and how I came from 2012 till 2020 in the last 8 years. I just share a bit of it. So now moving on to your role in building a peaceful society. Now that was my part. Now I'm more interested and want to focus this webinar on what is your role, each one of you who are attending this webinar today. How can you build a peaceful society as engineers in respect in whatever fields you are? So for example, now let's first know what is peace. So I cannot see your chat windows, but I want you all to think that what is peace for a moment. Sometimes we feel that when there is no war, there is peace. But what about people, those who are poor? They are dying of hunger. They don't have proper medical facilities. And there is domestic violence. So can we say that this is peace? India is right now not in a war with any country, like the way Syria or any other countries are. But can we say India is a peaceful society or a peaceful country? No. So for peace, this is a person called Johann Galtung. He's a father of peace studies. He basically came up with the course Peace Studies. And he says that by peace, we mean the capacity to transform conflict with empathy and without violence and creativity. So today we are commemorating the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. And if you all know that these are the three things which he was advocating about, that about non-violence and his empathy towards everyone. And he often used to say that whenever you want to make any rule or the government has to decide on something, you have to empathize to the very, very root level of the society, the people, those who are poor. You cannot define any rule as per the creamy layer of the society. So this is a person who shared about peace. And now I'm going to share the two types of peace. So peace is not just a single word peace. It is of two types. So we have a negative peace and a positive peace. So negative peace is the absence of violence or fear of violence. So if your life has a fear of violence, then that situation also is negative peace. So for example, if we take an example of a family, if the children in a family are staying in a fear to be beaten by their parents, it's called negative peace, because these people are living in fear. And on contrary, what is a positive peace? So positive peace is an attitude where institutions, structures, they create and sustain peaceful societies. So in the same family, if the parents create an environment for the kids to grow in a safe, secure, and free environment, then that is called positive peace. So positive peace is an action that we take to create something. So I hope that from now, you will not just say that I want to create peace. We have to create a positive peace where we can form institutions, change our attitude, form structure, and create something positive. So I will switch now to basically give you a glimpse about the greatest challenges of our time. So we cannot create peaceful society if we don't know the reality of our society, that what is happening in the world. So I'll just give you a very quick glimpse. So right now there are 4 global challenges which is afflicting the world. So first is extreme poverty, conflict and injustice, wealth inequality, and nature and environment. So when we talk about nature and environment, it's very important, and till now we have been really abusing the nature. Takako with us, she's an environmentalist, and maybe she can share it later, that how abusively we have used the nature, that finally events like this has happened. So this is a picture of 2015 Tamil Nadu, India, where it was floods, and I think you all must have experienced this, that how the nature has like these events are becoming more and more in the present days. So the second is conflicts and injustice. So we have a lot of problems around the world going on right now. And in fact, there are a billion people. They live in countries where there are some sort of conflict going on. With India also, we see with India, Pakistan, the constant conflict and hatred feelings which are going on. And similar is around the world. So, and the third is a wealth inequality. So you might be surprised to know that there are 26 individuals, only 26 people in the world who own as much wealth as the poorest 3.8 billion people on the planet. Just imagine, only 26 people have so much of wealth. Basically, these poorest 3.8 billion people will have. So this complete inequality in the wealth is making richer the richer and the poorer. And lastly, extreme poverty. So we cannot even like understand how much people are suffering, and we must every day really feel fortunate that we are able to eat, breathe, live in a house, drink water, eat food, and this is such a big thing that we must really be grateful about. So now and when the world was tackling all these challenges, this happened, the COVID, and the 2020 opened with the coronavirus. So I'm sure you must be seeing all these statuses that how many deaths have occurred, and the COVID has really shaken the entire world, and the economy has gone down. There are so many people displaced out of their cities. So I think we all know about all these things, but it might surprise you to know that COVID is something which is caused by our actions and behavior. So I'm going to share very quickly. This is by the UN Environment Program, and they shared 5 reasons why coronavirus. So there are different theories coming up that it is a biochemical use, but trust me, these are all superficial theories. The main reason we are not able to identify, and which is that corona or the past pandemics have been because of our own behavior, because of the excessive animal agriculture, intensive farming and livestock production, the illegal and poor regulatory wildfire care, and the climate change. And as per the UN General Secretary, he said that this pandemic is nothing but just the tip of an iceberg. So we all should be prepared in the future for many such pandemics if we will not change anything today in this moment. So there are 2 things basically this COVID has confirmed us. First, we all are connected. And just like if you see this picture of the Earth, this was taken by NASA. When you see this picture, do you feel that we are separate? Like we are hanging from one side of the Earth or another one is hanging from another side? It's a one complete Earth. So don't you think it's a one complete family? It's a one complete community. It's one complete family actually. And that's what we call humanity. But when we look into it, there are so many different things which we have fragmented into. But this COVID has actually confirmed us 2 things. We all are connected, and that our actions have an impact on our planet. If we make a negative impact, it will create if we make a negative cause, it will create a negative impact. If we'll create a positive cause, it will create a positive impact. Okay, so now coming to the main thing, what do we do? What should be our focus now when all this is happening? So there are basically right now in the world 3 kinds of people. I'm going to show a video in which there are 3 kinds of people going to be introduced. And this video is by Wangari Maathai. She was a renowned Kenyan social, environmental, and political activist. And she was the first African American woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize. So now let's watch the video. Let me know if you hear the sound.
We are constantly being bombarded by problems that we face And sometimes we can get completely overwhelmed. The story of the hummingbird is about this huge forest being consumed by a fire. All the animals in the forest come out and they are transfixed as they watch the forest burning, and they feel very overwhelmed, very powerless, except this little hummingbird. It says, I'm going to do something about the fire. So it flies to the nearest stream, takes a drop of water, and puts it on the fire, and goes up and down, up and down, up and down, as fast as it can. In the meantime, all the other animals, much bigger animals like the elephant with a big trunk, could bring much more water. They are standing there helpless, and they are saying to the hummingbird, what do you think you can do? You're too little. This fire is too big. Your wings are too little. And you're big, so small. You can only bring a small drop of water at a time. But as they continue to discourage it, it turns to them without wasting any time and tells them, I am doing the best I can. And that to me is what all of us should do. We should always feel like a hummingbird. I may feel insignificant, but I certainly don't want to be like the animals watching as the planet goes down the drain. I will be a hummingbird. I will do the best I can.
Yeah. And whenever I look this video, I always think to myself that what do I want to be? Do I want to be the people from these two categories? So the first category of people, as you saw in the video, that there were few animals who were completely ignorant, that they felt, oh, they are directly not impacted by the threat, so they will not do anything. So in COVID also, and so many things, that the rich people, those who are not impacted by the climate change, they completely sit back in their cool houses and enjoy wine. But then there are another category, the powerless people. They recognize that, oh my God, the climate is changing, so many people are dying, but they feel so powerless that eventually they do nothing. So today, each one of you with me, you have to understand which category you belong to. Do you belong to this category who are ignorant and powerless, or you belong to the third category of people like the hummingbird, who says, let's do the best we can? So in this, the third category of people basically challenge the current situation. So just imagine, like just think this moment, for example, your house sets on fire. I don't want that it should set on fire, but because our earth is on fire and our earth is our home, just imagine our earth is on fire. There have been so many fires happening lately in the last so many years. Recent Amazon fires happened, in California happened. So just imagine the entire earth's temperature is rising. Every earth you see a rising temperature in Tamil Nadu, and I'm sure you must be feeling, oh my God, it's so hot, it's so hot. So one is, it's so hot and so hot, and you sit back at home and switch on the AC and continue your life. The second thing is, you feel powerless, that, oh my God, this is all happening. You identify, but you say, I don't think my actions can bring a change. But there's third category of people, the hummingbird. Though she's so small, she was so insignificant, but still she decided to give the best she can to save the house. And I think each one of you will do the same when your house will be on fire, or anybody will need you. So these people who come from this category, the hummingbird category, which I believe that each one of you are in this category, they challenge the current situation. They use their knowledge, creativity, passion, and wisdom to bring solutions to the problems. They take responsibility of situation for future generations instead of just running away from it. So to do this, there were actually in the world few people, and these people were from different governments, 192 governments, foundations, NGOs, civil societies, and they came from this hummingbird category. They met all together in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 2012. And what did they do? They actually created a plan of action to help solve all these issues that we just learned about. So they came up with a concrete plan of action of called sustainable development. So just a little bit that what sustainable development is. So it meets the needs of the present without compromising on the ability of future. So I think you all understand that we have really not left anything good for the future generation. Our rivers have become extinct. Our our forests and our nature is becoming bad. The air quality has become bad. Recently, Chennai had water scarcity. So you can understand that there are so many things we are not at all going to give to our future generations. So sustainable development is about that you're using it, the present resources, but you're making sure that you'll carry them forward to the future. So this world right now has entered, like we have entered when that student talked about the 4.0 industrial revolution. Actually, we have entered into an era of sustainable development. So what does sustainable development came up with? They came up with these 17 goals. So when you see these 17 goals, it talks about very basic things: no poverty, working for no poverty, no hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, clean water and sanitation, life below water, climate change. So all these sustainable development goals are not the UN's responsibility. It's each one of our responsibility. And it's very easy to do. It's not very big thing that only UN or people like that could do that. So why actually, so I'll just share a little bit deep in the aspect of sustainable development, that why this is important. So basically it talks about 5 P's. So it talks about people, that ending poverty and hunger in all forms. And then it talks about prosperity, that without prosperity, obviously we cannot live in the world, and we are seeing that there has to be a harmony of living beings with the nature. Then peace is something which is the process and the final goal, that we have to foster peaceful and just society. There has to be a partnership between the NGOs, the governments, academics, you as engineers, the doctors, everybody has to come together to work together in competition, not in competition, but humanitarian competition, where everyone will bring their skills forward and how they can do something together. And finally, the planet, because the heart is that we should protect this planet, the one Earth picture that you saw. If we are the only planet Earth, and if we lose out on ourselves, then we don't even have a planet B to go to. So basically, sustainable development goals, when we talk about building a peaceful society, it's like a to-do list for peace, for the planet, and it is a blueprint for success, because it has very clear-cut goals which are very simple to understand. Like, you want to work for poverty. So like why I shared my experience with you, because I was working on no poverty and quality education. I used to go out, teach these kids, bring out from their homes where their parents were not allowing them, put them into the NGOs, and take out some portion of my salary to basically fund their education. And I think each one of you can do that. So why SDGs are important? Basically, they apply to high and low income countries everywhere. It's not like the India is the only country who will work for SDGs. The US or other New Zealand or Russia, all the countries have equal responsibility. They were negotiated and agreed by 193 world governments. They give us focus and direction. They are easy to communicate. They create a peer pressure, that if one country is able to do something, or if one city is able to do something. By the way, you'll be surprised and happy to know that in the country India, Tamil Nadu is leading in sustainable development goals. So it is the only state in India which has a percentage above the meeting point. Otherwise, all the other states are just below the meeting point. They're not even doing average. And Tamil Nadu is one of the states which is doing much better in achieving the SDGs. So you can go on your government site and look for SDGs. There's a lot of work your government is already doing. So now I just want to show you a video. And the idea of this webinar was not to scare you or to show you that there's so much happening in the world, but I just wanted a support from all of you. I'm an Indian. I have come from your backgrounds, and I want each one of you to think that how we all together can come forward, improve our community, our country, and the world. So this is one video I want to share with you all.
In 2020, the United Nations turned 75. The world is very different today than it was in 1945. What will it look like in 2045 when the UN turns 100? Imagine the possibilities. How do we get there? We know the threats. Let's face them together.
It is we children and future generations that are going to suffer the most from these consequences if we fail.
Our challenges are immense. No nation can solve them alone, but together, we help. We learn, we teach, we care, we innovate.
We have the passion, the fire, and the ideas to make the change.
I am deeply convinced that there is no other way to deal with global challenges but with global responses.
All things are possible. Shared problems, shared solutions. Join the global conversation. Let's shape the future together.
Yeah. So let's, as engineers, I think there is a lot we can do, but just coming back to this video, it shared about that let's learn to care. And caring, I feel it's not just caring about our family and friends, because all the problems that have happened in the past, and especially coronavirus, it has told us that we cannot be happy alone. If our world is suffering, if the community is suffering, if there is a water scarcity happening, then you will also be suffering. So either you become the powerless, like the two categories which I share, or you become the hummingbird. And when you will become a hummingbird, you will find many more people in your environment start to become a hummingbird. So when I started in my friend circle, nobody joined peace studies and nobody dared to choose this career. But when I see today, there are so many of my friends, they have become so conscious for their behavior, choose sustainability lifestyle, talking about climate change to people. And whatever I share today with you, it's not something dreamy. It's a fact. The world is right now facing this. So just like at the end, so I want to do one activity with all of you, and maybe you can note it down and do it at your home and get back to me again, and we can organize another workshop for that. But I really want to understand that as engineers, when you are skilled in some technology, or you make a stormwater system, or you build a software or a building, whether you're working with a remote community or in a high density urban space, all aspects of engineering ultimately create positive change and make a difference in our communities. So the heart is to basically get our facts clear, that why I am getting this education, why I am becoming an engineer. Am I becoming an engineer to get into a good company and then finally earn a lot of money and become a part of the rich community? Or I will do all that, but with that money, I will serve the less privileged who do not get that opportunity, just like me, just like you all, that today we are able to use this technology, but there's so many people and poor children and less privileged, they're just out of their schools and they cannot even study. So the activity is this. Now I want all of you to use your pen and paper and write down these 4 things that I want you all to do today. So because I didn't want this just a one way activity, I wanted that today itself you must find out that what are you good at. So basically this activity is called Ikigai, and Ikigai is a Japanese word which means purpose. That what is your purpose in life? Why are you studying? What is your purpose? And there is always a purpose behind everything. Purpose to study, purpose to marry, purpose to get a job, or purpose to create a software. Everything has a deep purpose attached to it. And to find that purpose, there are 4 things which each one of you today must do. And I also did it. So first thing is, what are you good at? So what are you good at can be anything. You can be good at making friends. You can be good at some music, or anything that you might be good at gardening, talking to people, making friends. You can be good at many things. And the second thing, what do you like or what do you love? So basically, what do you like doing? What are you passionate about? Like I was passionate about removing misery and poverty from the face of this earth. I was really passionate about, and I am, that till will continue to be poor, I will continue to work and will create system and structure so that I can help these people. So that is what I love doing. When I see happiness on these faces and change the misery into happiness, that is what I love. Now, the third thing, what the world needs. So I hope as I'm speaking, you are also doing these by yourself, that what the world needs. So right now, I shared with you that the world needs 17 things, 17 sustainable development goals. You can pick up anything that you feel passionate about and associate your skills and your knowledge with that need that the world needs. So you might be good at coding, you might create a software, you might be good at another mechanical thing. So you have to figure out, just do this reflexive thing in your life. And the fourth thing, which is very important also, because you have to sustain your life, what can you be paid for? So engineers, they are paid well, they get good salary, but with that thing, how can you support the world? So that's the Ikigai activity. I really want everybody to just click a picture if you haven't done it right now. I'll just take a moment, and then I'll open the floor for the Q&A. Okay, I will now just change the slide. Okay, so this is something I also want to tell you about, something that I have been a part of, UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network of Youth. And for that, I was working in Japan with the schools to help the schools implement the SDG curriculum. So I want to share that recently, just 2 days before, the SDSN, this UN SDSN group, they have launched a new program for the university students. So any of you also can apply to it. I will send you the link. And basically, it has a motto that changing the world starts on our campus with you. So this is basically their mission statement, that each of the university has the power, each of the student studying at a university has a power, and it will start from your campus with you. So for that, this person, Jeffrey Sachs. So how can you support SDGs as a student? You can undergo this training. They will give you a training for a month. And because you're an engineering student, you'll be skilled into many other skills like leadership skills and how you can use your technology skills. And let's just watch this short video, and then we will conclude today.
Hi, I'm Jeff Sachs, Director of the Sustainable Development Solutions Network, and absolutely delighted and thrilled with the leadership of SDSN Youth, a global movement of young people all over the world on campuses in all parts of the world, championing the Sustainable Development Goals. This is your generation's challenge: how to make a world that is prosperous, that ends extreme poverty, that is fair, and that is environmentally sustainable. The world has set goals, but goals don't achieve themselves. They need your leadership, your ideas, your energies, your organization, your advocacy, your entrepreneurship. And that's why SDSN Youth exists. And the SDG student program of SDSN Youth on your campus enables you to participate in solving the world's great challenges, whether in your local community or at a global scale. The SDG Hub is a place for you to bring new ideas, new solutions, energy, organization, to meet friends and colleagues that are committed like you to making the world a better place, to achieving the goals that we have all set together and that are so vital for our well-being. Please join SDSN Youth and please join the SDG Hub. It'll be extraordinarily exciting and you'll make a huge contribution. Thanks so much.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And
Bye,
I have been a part of this. I attended one. Actually, last year I enrolled into the STSN and I worked with the school. So it's basically the same organization, STSN, Sustainable Development Network of Youth, but they launched another program this year for the university students. I graduated, so I cannot be a part of it now. But I really request each one of you to enroll, and I will send you the link, and maybe you all can apply and be a part of this global movement. And yeah, so now I would want you all to please feel free and ask questions, and I would put the floor open for the questions. And anything that you would like to do?
Thank you, Deepti, for that amazing presentation. It was also inspiring. We have also got some questions in the chat box. I've asked the participants to type their questions in the chat box. We have a question here, and the question goes like this: what will be the role of a teacher in peace building?
So I think role of a teacher is like a linchpin. It's like a bridge between the student and the world. And so today is the first time that I'm interacting with the student, but I have been interacting with educators, and I'm myself an educator, and I want to be an educator. So I feel that for teachers first to understand that whatever they are teaching, because now we are really moving in a very different world altogether. We are moving in a very fast pace and in a world where we are so much interconnected with the outside world. So how teachers can take different roles. They can either be just teaching about what is written in the books, or they can teach that thing from the global perspective. So that's where what I was doing when I was teaching, implementing the SDG curriculum, that whatever thing I was teaching, be it geography or maths or science, but teaching it from a global perspective. And that's what my research was all about. So I feel that role of a teacher is indispensable. That is the word. Basically, they are the ones who are going to basically train the kids, help them to develop a mind to think for the world. Because if teachers, they just come to teach, do the assignment, do the checking, and go back, and finally at the end of the month they are getting salary, that's, we are coming in one of the category that we shared today. So teachers can also be in that category. If teachers want to be in the category of a hummingbird, so I think the first thing I feel, we have to really get vocal about talking about peace, equality, diversity, and all these topics should become the part of the class. Like, no matter whatever course we are studying, it doesn't matter. But how can we make these concepts? And my research was actually on that how can we make these concepts a very basic of our class, and be it gender equality, or be it sustainability, or about nature, and yeah.
Thank you.
And I can suggest few online workshops and courses for teachers, especially for the educators, and who can learn about peace more. And they can include that in your class. And these are the certificate courses. So you'll be getting a certificate also from the universities online.
Thank you. The next question is more related to this, to the answer that you gave. The question is, how can I participate in an organization that advocates SDG goals and SDGs? How can I participate? This is a question from Professor Ravi.
Okay, thank you, Professor Ravi. So there are so many organizations which are right now working. So if I just talk about India, in India also there are so many organizations which are working. So the one that I said today with the students, the SDSN Youth, it's basically a department of UN, which is facilitating the youth. But there are also the department for the teachers and educators also. So I can prepare maybe some data at my end and share with all of you. And if you just Google it, that how can I participate in SDGs as an educator? It's going to show so much of information, because for educators there's so many programs which are running in India, and I am myself associated with few organizations like Global Citizenship Foundation is one. They have connected to so many different universities, to so many different educators from around the world, and you exchange so many good ideas, and then you take these ideas back to your classes and your universities. So there are things already available. It's just we need to like now start looking out that what we can do, how we can contribute in some way. And I'm really here to help each one of you in every possible way. I can myself provide you the data, will provide like the Excel and how you can be a part of these organizations and apply.
Thank you. We have a couple more questions. I'm going to club that together. And the questions are, what do you think is the role of political leaders in building peace during COVID-19? And to what extent parental guidance and parental preaching impact on next generation's mindset? What do you think about it? What do you think about the parental guidance and the way they upbring their kids these days, the
Hmm.
modern day parents?
Mm-hmm. I think that like just first talking about like the political leaders thing. So I think you all must have studied in the newspaper about the leadership of the women from New Zealand, the president of New Zealand, and how she basically led this entire movement of helping the community with so much of care and empathy, taking precautions more. So when it comes to, I think, political leaders, that has to be the priority. Like building peace is the priority. But I feel that we don't know. Maybe one of us in the future, 10 years or 20 years down the line, might become a political leader in India or in our particular state. So I feel, relating it to the second question, that what is being fed in the class, what is being fed as a child by the parent, is that what matters. Because if the parents are going to feed in the child that compete with the other, put down the other person, you have to get good marks so that you can earn more. So if we'll foster greed, if we'll foster apathy, and if we'll foster um, these ill feelings from the very childhood, then peace is not going to happen, because this is something we have to start cultivating from the very childhood in like the child's life. So I feel these two are very interconnected. Like right now, I think the political leaders, I don't want to comment, but whosoever is holding in whatever place, maybe they might not have been taught about how to be develop a peaceful mind, and how instead of greed they can focus on serving the poor. So it's like a constant battle that we go through, that are we, when we start earning, that am I pushing my child to become a very rich person, or I'm pushing my child to become rich but at the same time developing that heart. So right now the challenge with the education system is not to increase the knowledge, it is to increase the socio emotional aspect, which comes in the global citizenship, which my thesis was about. That how can we teach the kids the socio emotional aspect, to be empathy and to be kind, what Mahatma Gandhi said, to opting for different ways of resolving a conflict instead of just slapping the other person. And when child comes back, the parents feel so happy, oh wow, you slapped the other person. So we have to really, it's like we have to change the structure of the way we have been living and taking care of our children, and as teachers how we are taking care of the students. So teacher and parent both very important pillars right now, which are actually going to shape the future, I feel.
Yes, very true. Thank you for that response. We also have one more question. What can we do to keep us positive in this world? Whenever you open your television set or any television program, it is all about COVID-19. You can see a lot of negativity flowing in. How to keep us positively? Is there any easy ways to do it in our daily life? This is the question asked by Kokila. What do you think?
This, yeah, I'm just like finding this question. Actually, your voice little faded. Did you mean that what can we do in our daily lives to stay positive because there's so much negative happening? Did you mean that?
Yeah, the exact wording of the question is how to keep us positively. Is there any easy ways to do it in our daily life?
Can you type that question? I'm not able to find that chat. Actually, maybe I'll become a little clear about that word that you mentioned.
Okay, it is from a user called Kokila. I will type it again for you. I'll paste it again. That is the question.
Okay, how to keep us positively? Is there any easy ways to do it? Oh wow, yeah, there are many. I think there are many ways to do it. Many ways. So, I started practicing Buddhism and meditation 10 years back in my life, and I think in my life that is a source of great motivation. I read a lot of books that my mentor has written. I understand the teachings of Buddhism, and I try to apply in my daily life. And then I have a lot of friends around the world who are also practicing the same philosophy. So it gives a lot of encouragement. But but it doesn't mean that this is the only thing that you should do. I think it starts from one thing, what I personally feel. You start building a community of good people, community of people who are passionate to do something great for people and society. So when you'll be in constant touch with these people, you'll always be thinking, let's do something. And maybe you can just go out and have a walk with nature, give some time meditating. You can sit down and meditate a little bit. And if not that, I think spending time with nature really helps you to become positive. And I feel Takako, we have Takako with us. She can she can really affirm to this thing that spending time with nature and making good friends with whom you can work together, not compete with each other, rather work together. So they can really be a great positive source and read good books. Yeah. So from my side, I feel that three things are important. Make good friends who are serious about creating a change in people's life. Second, read good books which can motivate you. And third, try to spend some time with nature. I know we have a air quality, we don't have a good air quality, but still, if you can take out and go for a walk on early morning or and just spend time with some plants and animals, and I have kept this plant near my table also.
Thank you, Deepti. One generic question. Many of our first year students they do not know the meaning of the word sustainable development.
Hmm.
How could you explain that in layman's terms so that our students could understand what is sustainable development? What do you think about it?
Okay, so in a very layman term, okay, I'll actually show you through something. So in a very layman term, if I have to, so if sorry, okay, so if I teach you about sustainability, sorry, I don't have a green color pen, but I have limited resources. I have right now two pens. One is black and one is green color. Okay. And from this light green color, I'm drawing a tree. Okay. I have drawn this tree. Is it looking very colorful and beautiful right now? I think this tree must be looking a little bit colorful. But what if this pen gets exhausted? This ink gets exhausted right now. So I will just have one option left, this one. Because I have overused this pen in making this tree. in making this. So I'm just left with black pen. Now so this pen is like a resource which is given to our generation. I have exhausted it and I will put it down. Now which option I have? I just have one black pen. So now my tree will now be black. No color, no trunk, no different color. Can you identify a difference between these two? Which one looks better? The black or the upper one? I know the upper one is not green and brown in the trunk, but I personally feel, and it's a video which was shared by my teacher once, and that really video left an impact, that whatever resources we have right now, can we use them wisely? And can we use them a little bit consciously with a mind that we have some people waiting to use those resources? And if we all consume it today, like the food, we just eat it today and make our air bad, use all the resources, make our rivers bad, in which world will they come? In which world will the future be? Like these kids will just come in a very black and white world. They will not have trees, they will not have rivers, they will suffer from so many health problems. So I think this is the sustainable development. Sustainable development is a mind, is an attitude that you build, that whatever you do in your daily life, you do with a conscious that, oh, I have to preserve nature. I have to preserve things for the future generation. It's a very, like, in a very layman term, I can explain you in this way. So if still you feel that this concept is not clear, because I know that it becomes very difficult sometime, I can share some very simple videos which an 8th standard kid can also see and understand that what is sustainability and how each one of us can contribute towards it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Deepti. That makes us come to the end of the session. And I request Ashwin from RIT to give his vote of thanks. Ashwin, over to you.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Madam Deepti Singh. Actually, this is one of the best sessions I've ever attended since this lockdown. Thank you so much for that. And actually, I take this as an honor to propose the vote of thanks, because ingratitude is a sin, they say. So first, let me start by thanking our guest, Ms. Deepti Singh, who frequently corresponded with us and put in all her best efforts to make this session like a fruitful and a life-transforming one. And moving on, let me express our gratitude to our principal, Dr. L. Ganeshan, and our vice principal, Dr. S. Rajakarnakaran, who permitted us to conduct such an interesting and informative session, giving us access to whatever sources necessary. Next, we should not forget to thank our ECA coordinator, Dr. Basarikodi ma'am, and HOD of our English department, Dr. Anand sir, and Dr. Godson Bidia from English department for their support. I especially wish to thank Dr. O. Sendil Kumar sir, head of the Department of Chemistry, who introduced us Ms. Deepti Singh. It won't be an exaggeration if I say that he was one among the backbones behind the successful conduct of this webinar. Also, we must not forget the tireless efforts of the student coordinators, Mr. Satyaprakash and Janani Rajkumari, the other faculty members who worked as a group together for days to make this webinar successful. I wish to place on record that Mr. Satyaprakash was the one who designed the brochure, certificate, feedback forms for this event. We deeply appreciate his efforts. Last but not the least, I would like to express our gratitude to the wonderful participants who cooperated, attended, and made this session interactive both ways. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being so peaceful.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashwin. And Madam, thank you so much for that inspiring speech. We received a lot of positive responses from people. They want us to conduct more webinars of this kind, and they also want us to share your email ID, and they also want us to uh, give them more video clippings regarding sustainable development so they could understand and participate in these efforts of sustainable development. We will correspond with them on this again. And thank you for this lecture. Thank you all the participants for participating. We want you all to give your feedback. It is there. The feedback form link is there in the chat box. You can click the link, and you will receive your email tickets once you fill in the feedback. Feedback is mandatory to get your e-certificates. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. I couldn't see your all faces, but I feel you. I hope you're smiling, feeling happy about today. And I hope we can get again together on maybe another workshop or anything that you guys feel to talk about or learn from about SDGs or anything about peace and anything that you feel want to talk about. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I couldn't learn Tamil. I wanted to greet you in Tamil today, but maybe next time I'll try to do that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye bye.
Thank you so much.